Hello my friends, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge, where you guys come for your daily dose of satisfaction by listening to stories about others getting their just desserts. Guys, in this episode there's gonna be 4 stories. You'll hear how an employer lands himself in jail, a messy story about a married couple, an amazing school revenge, and we'll finish off with what happens when you propose at your friend's wedding without their permission. Yikes. Guys, I hope you stay for the stories today and subscribe for future videos. This first story is titled, Maya and I Get Her Boss Sent to Prison. So Maya's a good friend of mine. She's a sweet and caring mother of 2 young children. She's also a widow and was an illegal immigrant. She came over here in early 2008 with her husband and 1-year-old daughter, and pregnant with their second. He worked long hours as a field worker, often 60 to 70 hours a week. They'd been in this country maybe half a year when disaster struck. Her husband was killed in a car crash on the way to work one morning. She did what she had to do. She got a job at a local donut shop and cafe. At first, she's happy because everyone but the owner was an immigrant, and she had much in common with her coworkers. The boss told her that she could work as many hours as she needed, which she really needed. But it quickly became apparent that there was a dark underside to this shop. The owner would only hire illegals with no documentation. He told them that if they worked hard for him, he'd take care of them. But if they didn't, he'd call immigration officers and they'd be deported. He scheduled them for 48 hours a week, and he didn't believe in overtime. He scheduled them for 6 days a week, no sick days, and no vacation days. She came to me and asked me what to do. I informed her that what the boss was doing was illegal, that he was violating Department of Labor regulations, and he was counting on her fear to keep her quiet. Taking my advice, she did one of the bravest things I've ever seen in my life. She made that call to DOL, knowing that she could get fired, and knowing that she and her children could get deported. Well, the DOL came down and did an investigation. They found that boss owed his employees over $27,000 for the time in question. The boss reached an agreement that he would pay all of his employees back the wages that they were owed by an agreed upon date. And this is the part that sends him to federal prison. He calls each employee one at a time into his office. He hands them a check for the overtime that they're owed. For each employee, it's over $3,300. He tells them to endorse the check because he needs a photocopy to send it to the DOL. They comply, he copies it, and then he leans over and runs it through the shredder. He tells them that if anyone complains to the feds, they'll all get deported and to get back to work. She comes to me crying that she needed that money, and what can she do now? Well, folks, this bastard is going down. So I'm the one who drops the dime on Mr. Asshat. The local paper had carried the story when he agreed to the restitution, so it was only a matter of a few clicks to find the pertinent information I needed. I called the department's office in our state capital and was transferred to the original investigators. I explained to them what Maya had told me and her fears if she complained. They were incredulous at his audacity and vowed to look into it. Usually the Fed machine grinds slowly, if at all, but this was too much for the DOL. In just 2 months, a federal grand jury handed down a 10-count indictment for concealment by trick and making false statements to the US Department of Labor, and for willful failure to pay overtime to his employees. Stupid boss. It turns out that a conviction for concealment by trick and making false statements carries a maximum penalty of 5 years imprisonment, a $250,000 fine, or both, and a conviction for willful failure to pay overtime carries a maximum penalty of 6 months imprisonment, a $10,000 fine, or both. The judge sentenced him to 5 years in the pen. I don't know if he served the whole sentence, but I bet he never does that shit again. Postscript to the story. My boss went to jail at the end of 2011. Maya and her coworkers stayed at the donut cafe, which was run by the boss's wife. No one was deported. I don't know about the others, but Maya became a US citizen in the fall of 2016. She has since remarried, and the kids are doing well in school. She now works as a secretary at a local company, making far more than she did slinging donuts. I'm very proud of her. There's far too many stories out there about employers preying on illegal immigrants, and it really did take guts for Maya to call and report her boss. Guys, please excuse my ignorance of the situation because I literally know nothing about immigration. But if the people came to investigate his shop and charged him for all those crimes and sees that he only hired illegal immigrants without documentation, how did Maya end up becoming a US citizen? This next story is titled, How I Made $2,000 Off a Meth Dealer. A few years ago, I was married to a degenerate tweaker. She wasn't originally like that, but you know, meth does what meth does. I kept interfering with her tweaker lifestyle, trying to get her treatment, etc., and she rewarded my efforts with a restraining order. Who'da thunk? So I get kicked out of my place and end up in a studio apartment with nothing but my toothbrush and the clothes I was wearing. One of her great plans was to get a front for a ton of dope using everything of value we own as collateral. Long story short, the drug dealer literally takes everything we own and puts it in storage somewhere in town. Wife plans to take all of the dope and sell it by the end of the weekend and be a millionaire, which is tweaker logic. Of course, she messes up the plan and ends up just doing all the dope herself, so now all of our expensive stuff is in the wind. I try to work out something with the drug dealer, but he wanted an absurd amount of money. Plus, I made some threatening comments that he didn't appreciate, so negotiations stalled. Eventually, I catch wind that he got locked up and that some of his friends took all of his property and put it into a storage unit for safekeeping until he got out. I hit every storage place in town with my story and a picture, hoping to catch some kind of break. Eventually, I find the place. The owner tells me that the unit's going up for auction next weekend for non-payment. He tells me if I just pay the 3 months back rent, he'd write it up as I won the auction and I can have the unit. $320 gets slapped on the counter and we go drill the lock. All of my stuff is there, and what do you know? Now I own all of his stuff free and clear. And since I'm a nice guy, I dug out all the personal irreplaceable stuff like old photos, important documents, etc., boxed them up and gave them to his mom, who I found on Facebook. I actually made quite a bit of money off the deal selling his stuff on Craigslist. It came out to about $2,000. I'm divorced now, have all of my stuff, and I'm happy. OP's a pretty stand-up guy for returning all of the personal and irreplaceable stuff. A lot of people would have just had a bonfire with all that stuff. This next story is titled, Girls Shouldn't Win Math Competitions, So My Son Should Win. I am a high school student, and this happened to me in the 9th grade. My teacher decided that I should compete in a math competition because she saw potential in me. I agree because she was my favorite teacher. I really did not care that much because I was kinda lazy at the time. On the day of the competition, I saw a kid boasting about how he didn't sleep because he reviewed everything. I was annoyed, but really didn't think much of it. The results came, and sure enough, he won. But I got second place. I was shocked and happy at the same time, and so was my teacher. Everything was all sunshine and rainbows, until I heard this lady say, "Good thing that girl didn't win. This is a math competition. My boy should win. He studied really hard for this, and a girl shouldn't beat him." I was livid. My teacher patted me on the back and told me not to listen to her. When they announced that I was in second place, the entitled mom started booing. This woman, I couldn't take it, so I devised a plan. This competition happened every year according to my teacher, and in 10th grade, there was a regional competition after. I swore that I had to win next year. The whole year, I taught myself various math equations, and my friends helped me with everything. I spent a whole year reviewing just to prove this entitled mother wrong. The next year, I entered the competition more ready than ever. I saw the boy again. Now even his mother is boasting about how he couldn't sleep knowing that he's gonna win again and that he's excited about regionals. Everything she said had encouraged me to do better. The exam was kind of hard, but I managed to answer most of the test questions. The announcements came, and they said only one got a score of 40 and above in every grade level. The entitled kid was smirking, thinking it was him, and telling his mom, "Regionals, here we go." But to his surprise, I won. The look of shock on the entitled mom and the entitled kid's face was worth it. They didn't utter a single word. His teacher was just standing there shocked. I gave them a big ass smirk and went up the stage, accepting the prize and everything. When I went down the stage, I saw the entitled mother crying, saying that my boy was supposed to win, he was supposed to go to regionals. And once I heard her cries of agony, the whole year of reviewing paid off. I got second place in the regional and became friends with the guy in first place. Overall, it was a great experience, and I'm glad I don't ever have to see the entitled mom and the entitled kid again, because there's no math competition in grade 11. Guys, now this is a great ProRevenge. No harm, no foul, and OP definitely deserved this revenge. That's true dedication to revenge. Guys, so before I begin this last story, a subscriber actually linked me this ProRevenge after my Entitled People episode, where an entitled girl was upset that nobody paid attention to her after she was proposed to at her friend's wedding. So this next story is what happens if you propose at a wedding that you're not supposed to be proposing at. And it's titled, "Don't Announce Your Engagement at Someone Else's Wedding, or This Might Happen to You." Last summer, I was at a cousin's wedding. His bride and her family had been close with ours since before I was born, and the couple had known each other since they were toddlers, so it was a particularly exciting event for both sides of the family. However, after the ceremony was over and the party had only started, one of the bridesmaids decided to announce her own engagement. The attention was immediately taken away from the newlyweds and brought to the bridesmaid, who I'll call Sarah, and her equally smug fiancé. My cousin's wife, who I'll call Emma, didn't make a scene or utter a single negative word about Sarah. She looked like she was on the verge of tears, but she kept grinning and acted very happy for the couple. This was unusual, as Emma is typically quite confrontational and speaks her mind no matter the consequences. Sarah later picked Emma to be the maid of honor at her own wedding, which took place last weekend. I wasn't there for it, but my cousin sent me some of the best bits on Snapchat and explained the whole situation. And this is where the fun begins. Emma's two much younger sisters were the flower girls at Sarah's wedding. At the very last moment, Emma switched out the white petals in the baskets to blue ones she'd secretly brought with her. She told the sisters not to say anything about it, or let the bride see them until it was time to scatter them down the aisle. Sarah looked confused upon seeing the blue petals, which didn't coordinate whatsoever with her theme, but of course, she didn't say anything about it in the moment. Most of Sarah's other bridesmaids were also Emma's friends, had attended Emma's wedding, and were in on Emma's scheme. At the reception, Emma's sisters and the other bridesmaids were tight-lipped when Sarah began demanding to know why there were blue petals. The wedding planner ended up getting a lot of abuse for not checking the flower girls' baskets before they walked down the aisle. Finally, it was time for the speeches. The speeches took place in front of a massive screen, displaying a loop of photos with Sarah and her husband, which had been compiled by Emma. Emma took the remote that controlled the presentation screen, and at first showed some pretty approved humorous photos of Sarah with Emma and her other friends to facilitate a couple of lighthearted jokes. Then at the very end, Emma said to Sarah that she must be wondering why there were blue petals instead of the white ones that were planned. That's when Emma displayed the last slide from her presentation. Emma announced in front of everyone that she was 5 months pregnant, that she just discovered that the baby was a boy, hence the blue petals, and the last slide was her ultrasound picture. There were shocked yells and gasps. Sarah had a fit, but those involved in the scheme cheered so loudly that I sincerely regret watching the Snapchat recording with headphones. Emma and my cousin were eventually thrown out of the party, but they were all smiles. Sarah's fuming mother went to confront her outside, and Emma retorted with, "Gentle, gentle, I'm pregnant." I reckon Sarah doesn't speak to the majority of those bridesmaids anymore. I guess the only way to trump an engagement at a wedding is to announce a pregnancy. That's gonna be remembered for a long time, and I'm sure gonna be talked about for a long time too. Guys, if you didn't catch the last episode of r/Entitled People, and you want to hear the story about the entitled couple who proposes at a friend's wedding, it's gonna be linked right here. If you aren't subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future stories. See you guys in the next one.